of the slurping noises.
Just adds to the intensity and the experience as a whole, I think, Snedds.
It does. Okay, so are we going to talk about celebrity mansions?
Yeah, we'll talk about that first. To be honest, I wasn't really all that familiar with Dinosaur Pile Up's stuff. I'd heard of Growing Pains, but I never actually realised that was a name of one of their albums. For some reason I'd got it into my head that it was a name of one of their songs. Is that the case?
I didn't even know that was an album. So I mean,
maybe I'm making that up. I seem to remember seeing somewhere a picture of presumably the lead singer or lead guitarist, and underneath it said Growing Pains.
Yeah, we probably should do a bit more
research.
Bit more research. But basically, my knowledge of Dinosaur Pile Up is just their really early stuff. So, like in 2008, they had a single out called My Rock and Roll. Right. So really sort of grungy, like big riffs. It's a really good track. And then on the back of that, I went deep into some of the demos and things they had. More of the same alt rock, really good tracks. But by the time the first album actually ended up coming out, it left me a little bit cold. Thought it was a bit overproduced. I didn't think the songs were all that good. So kind of after that, I just forgot about them. And it wasn't really until there was a bit of buzz for this new album coming out that I started to pay attention again.
Yeah.
So all that stuff in between, I just kind of forgot about. Maybe I should have gone back in at some point to see what they were doing, but there's so much stuff you just forget about in bands.
No, absolutely. I mean, even Pixies, like my favourite band, I feel as if some of their stuff has passed me by, which is pretty sad considering I rate them as being one of my most favourite bands. Certainly, like, I know this is kind of going off topic a wee bit, but the Head Carrier album, I never knew that existed until Ali turned up with it on vinyl for me. He was visiting my house, he was like, you should have this. I was like, great. Turns out it wasn't actually all that great an album, to be honest. It just kind of passed me by. I think because there is such a wealth of music out there now, and I've been, I suppose, somewhat of a Luddite until fairly recently. I suppose I'm still quite old school in the way I kind of consume music. I still quite like having CDs and vinyls and stuff like that, whereas obviously there's been a shift away from that, and people are accessing music in a different way now. It's through the likes of kind of Spotify and what have you.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like to have physical copies of albums. It's usually the stuff that I love from over the years that I've got physically, but I like to keep up on what's coming out, so Spotify's good for that. But there's so much stuff. I mean, there's so many different albums come out every Friday that it's really difficult to keep up. But I think Celebrity Mansions by Dinosaur Pile Up is a really good example of good music that's coming out just now. Yeah,
I did enjoy it, I have to admit. I listened to it quite a few times. To be fair, I'm not too sure if it is actually the first song on the album, because up until fairly recently I had just the free edition of Spotify. So I just had to listen to everything on shuffle play. Yeah. And I'm not a great fan of doing that, because I do feel as if albums have to be appreciated as a whole, to be honest.
And you should probably listen them in order they were
in a sequential fashion. And again, this is kind of going off topic a wee bit, but I'm a fan of MGMT. I remember when they kind of first came out, their first album, I think, came out, I want to say, kind of early 2000s anyway, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Oracular Spectacular, and that was
2004?
Something like that. Yeah, I was going to say 2005, but yeah, somewhere along that. Wasn't too long after we left school, Sned, way back when. And I remember there was a bit of controversy around about the time, because I think they liked what they did. However, I think a lot of people, or the mainstream, kind of latched on to the likes of Kids and Time to Pretend. So their kind of second and third album was a complete move away from those kind of songs that could just be released as singles or what have you. I think they just wanted people to kind of appreciate the album as a whole. So I have went back, I kind of listened to Celebrity Mansions in a kind of sequential fashion, as it were. So I take it the first song on the album is Celebrity Mansions. Would that be correct in saying?
No, Celebrity Mansions is the fourth track on the album.
Oh, right, okay.
The first track is Thrash Metal Cassette, which coincidentally was the first single that came out. That's the song that got me excited for this album, because it's a fucking rager, for want of a better word.
It's funny. I was immediately reminded of Storm the Gates, the Tenacious D song from Pick of Destiny album.
Okay.
But yeah, that's probably one of my favourite songs on the album. and I thought the kind of chorus of Singing Girls towards the end was probably a bit of a stroke of genius.
Yeah, it's very much in the vein of, you familiar with baby metal?
I'm not.
So baby metal are like, I think they're Japanese, maybe Korean. They're a metal band, and they're fronted by singing girls.
Yeah.
So they're big like metal riffs and then like singing schoolgirls. But so the end of it's a bit like baby metal. But there's a song by Faith No More called "Be Aggressive," which has got like a cheerleader chant at the end. It conjures up memories of that for me, and that's a great song if you haven't heard it. But yeah, a brilliant song.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's funny you say that because I did immediately think of Japanese girls in school uniforms for some reason.
Okay, well,
singing that song. Yeah, I really like Long Way Down as well.
So Long Way Down's actually the final track on the album.
Right.
But as an album closer, after, I mean, there's 10 tracks I think on this album.
Mm-hmm.
So after 9 fairly high-paced tracks, you get a sort of mournful slow burner, but it's still quite a powerful song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good way to end the album, I think.
I really enjoyed it. I quite like that kind of call and answer type chorus that they have going on. I thought it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Also really enjoyed Stupid Heavy Metal Broken Hearted Loser Punk.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a mouthful.
It's a great title, I think. So actually the first 3 tracks are Thrash Metal Cassette, Back Foot, and Stupid Heavy Metal Broken Hearted Loser Punk. That's possibly my favourite song on the album, just to try and sing along to, because the chorus is a bit of a tongue twister.
Absolutely.
And so trying to join in with that without messing it up is really difficult, but when you pull it off you feel like a champ.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely one of the best songs on the album. There's a bit, I think, as it's just coming into the second chorus, well, it's just after the chorus, so there's that sort of wrapped Stupid Heavy Metal Broken Hearted Loser Punk chorus, and there's like a bicycle bell noise or a triangle that comes in.
I've got, did I hear a bicycle bell? Written down on my notes.
Yeah, and that, I don't know why I like that so much, but
yeah, it's interesting.
I think it's an underused instrument.
Do you think that could replace the cowbell?
I think it should replace the cowbell. I imagine Slipknot using a triangle.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Backfoot, since those are the first 3, a sort of opening flurry of tracks?
Yeah, it wasn't one of the songs that immediately stood out for me. I can't remember being a massive fan of his vocals in that.
Yeah, it's like I kind of likened it to a sort of slacker white guy rap.
That's
And
exactly
it's
what
like
I've got.
It's like maybe a bit like The Offspring if you think of like Pretty Fly for a White Guy, or like Original Prankster, like that kind of,
yeah, I'll go for that. Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And to be fair, I really like that. So I don't think it's for everyone, but I actually really like those vocals.
Aye, it's funny you say that because in my notes here I've just said Backfoot, white men rapping question mark. Which yeah, but no, I can definitely see the similarities with the likes of Offspring and what have you.
I think the fact that they're not taking themselves too seriously is the reason I like it. If it was that trying to be like Eminem or something, okay, he doesn't take himself seriously either, but
no,
that's maybe a bad example. But if they were trying to be serious about his rapping, I don't think I would enjoy it quite so much.
Yeah,
It's all very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Celebrity Mansions then.
Okay.
Since you were going to start with that, let's track 4.
I don't know if you got this, and I don't know if this was deliberate or not, to be perfectly honest, but I was immediately reminded about Beverly Hills by Weezer. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I've written Gangster Attitude Weezer. That's what I've got.
Weezer
here.
With a gangster attitude.
Yeah, basically. But Beverly Hills is all over this. And there's like just cheeky little bits where he's like, what up? Which is totally ridiculous, but it's something that you would expect Rivers Cuomo to do. But, it's a pretty good song. I think it's better than Beverly Hills, I would say. I'm not the biggest fan of that song, and maybe that was just because I was used to a different kind of Weezer.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So I think I prefer Celebrity Mansions to Beverly Hills. It's a good tune.
Yeah.
This one in fact has more triangle. So this is the one I was thinking on as it comes into the second chorus, there's a sort of chugging riff, and then like a little triangle tinkle, and then it just slams into the chorus. So that's a good moment, I think. One of my favourite moments on the album.
What do we have after that?
Next one is Round the Bend, which is basically, it just opens with a sort of straightforward punk rock riff that you've heard millions of times before, and then it's got a pretty big chorus, a fun chorus, but with cliched lyrics about going round the bend and what that
kind of going off track.
Exactly. I don't think there's anything on the song that you haven't really heard before. And there's a good bit in it, I think about midway through, where the sort of all the production layers fall away and it fades into like an acoustic demo where he's just singing the vocals with a muffled acoustic guitar. It's one verse and then everything slams back in for the final chorus. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a good dramatic effect. A good song, but there's plenty of better ones, I think. No thoughts on Round the Bend?
No, nothing really.
Okay, so the next one we've got is Pouring Gasoline.
I did like Pouring Gasoline.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that one. Again, I thought it kind of maybe hailed back to some of the kind of punk rock kind of sensibilities, some of the other songs, with obviously being a fan of kind of punk rock. Yeah, what was your thoughts on it?
So I think this is a Foo Fighters song.
Oh really? A cover of that?
No. I just think it sounds like a mixture of a few different Foo Fighters songs to me. There's bits of Monkey Wrench in it, All My Life and the Pretender. There's the vocal part that goes Out on My Own and Alone Again, and it starts off quite toned down and it builds and it builds and it builds and it sort of powers into this big scream at the end. There are moments exactly like that in both The Pretender and All My Life. But yeah, like I said, there's Monkey Wrench all over this song, so it feels like a big mash of Foo Fighters, but Foo Fighters when they were still good. They've kind of turned into a bit of a bland stadium rock act, in my opinion. But back when they were sort of at the height of their powers. Mm-hmm. So I really like Pouring Gasoline as well, but because it reminds me of that classic era Foo Fighters, which was the only time that I was actually into Foo Fighters. So.
I'm afraid kind of Foo Fighters have kind of passed me by to the most part. There is a few songs that I like. Is it All My Life?
Is it All My Life? All My Life I've been looking for something new.
Yes.
Yeah. Fuck up the lyrics there, but
yeah, I was particularly impressed by that. I remember buying that as a single. Again, must have been the early kind of 2000s when that first came out. Would that be right? That'd be
possibly. I mean, that's the only. I don't know. I can't remember if the album is called All My Life as well, but that's the only Foo Fighters album I've ever bought. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty good.
Is that the one that's got the bison on it?
Is it not like a bleeding heart or something on it?
I remember the single has like a kind of bleeding heart in it, but I don't know what the album covers.
I think the album's got that too.
I don't know where maybe I'm thinking of like a Foo Fighters t-shirt or something.
Maybe. So Pouring Gasoline's a good listen if you're into Foo Fighters or some classic punk rock. Mm-hmm. Then we got Black Limousine, which it opens with basically the riff from Round the Bend, but an acoustic version of it, and then it goes into a sort of muted verse, which reminded me of the Smashing Pumpkins a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it sort of just rumbles along, and then it's got a pretty massive chorus that is just a lot of fun to sing along to. Mm-hmm. And I've said that stupid heavy metal, broken hearted loser punk is possibly my favourite song, but I think Black Limousine's the best song.
Right, from the album.
I think it's the best song on the album in terms of just how good a song it is. I think that would be my pick.
It's interesting because Long Way Down and Black Limousine's the two that stand out for me, if I'm being perfectly honest. Although, again, I mean, you can't overlook thrash metal cassette.
I mean, it's interesting because those are the two songs where they sort of rein it back a little bit. It's not quite so like
Black Limousine and Long Way Down.
Long Way Down. It's not. A lot of the other tracks are really thundering and pacey and a little bit tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Whereas those are possibly more serious, a bit more laid back. They're not necessarily less powerful, especially not in the case of Black Limousine. But yeah, they're slightly more restrained.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really focus too much on the lyrics to Long Way Down, but it does kind of feel as if it's a message to somebody from what I remember from the kind of opening lyrics. And I remember thinking that would probably be quite a big crowd pleaser for that kind of call and answer. Mm-hmm. You could just imagine the crowd kind of being into that at kind of one of their gigs. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
Yeah, I think similarly Black Limousine would be a crowd pleaser just for that, just having a huge sing-along chorus.
Yeah.
That's not it's not difficult to sing along to. It's quite easy to join in with. Like whereas
like
some
stupid heavy
like
metal
I mean that's
that
difficult. Or if you're like trying to scream the chorus from thrash metal cassette or whatever.
Yeah.
The next song is K West.
Yeah, that was a strange one. See,
Yeah.
when I saw it appear on like the album list, I thought it would have something to do with Kanye West,
So
but
did
I think
yeah.
it must have something to do with a venue of sorts.
I told this up last
Or a
night
bar.
because I didn't know what it was, and I'd like you had assumed it was something to do with Kanye West, but
Yeah,
it's actually a hotel in Shepherd's Bush.
really. So somewhere in London.
Yeah, and it's, I think, from what I could gather, it's where sort of music artists stay and they get interviewed there and
Right,
that
okay.
sort of thing. So it's sort of a cool rock hotel, whatever that means.
Right. So,
So-
Hotel California of sorts.
I don't know about that.
Because supposedly that, I mean, I don't know if you know the Eagles song Hotel California. I don't think the hotel in question was actually called Hotel California, but I suppose it must have been based somewhere in California. But apparently it was somewhere where the musicians at the time stopped off
Okay.
in their tours.
So well, probably is
Maybe
quite
it's
similar to that then.
similar.
So, I mean, the song itself is basically just about being a fucking rock star and
Dripping mayonnaise down your shirt.
exactly watching the game with Dwayne Johnson,
He's
having
all
dinner
over
with
that shit.
Jay-Z. So it's basically everything that Dinosaur Pile Up are not.
Mm.
I think a lot of this album is about how they're a relatively struggling rock band, and then this song is like the antithesis of that, where they're just like, yeah, we're rich, bitch, and these are all the extravagant things that we do. And it's, I think on first listen I was a bit like, yeah, this is a bit throwaway, but I definitely warmed it. Going back to Weezer again,
Mm-hmm.
have you heard the Black Album?
Weezer's Black Album. I don't know if I have actually.
So it came out earlier this year.
What's that got on it? Is there any singles that have been released?
God, yes. I'll have to check.
To be honest, I haven't really heard much of Weezer of late. The only things that I have heard Weezer do recently is the cover of Africa
Yeah.
by Toto. Is it Toto? It's Toto, isn't
It's
it?
Toto, yeah. Is it? Yeah, it is Toto.
It's Toto. Yeah.
I'm thinking that's a dog from
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, but I think it's Toto.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Can't Knock the Hustle, Zombie Bastards, Living in LA, and High as a Kite. I think those were all the singles that were released before the album came out. Basically, the Black Album is like ridiculous. It's like stupid pop songs that sound nothing like Weezer, and it's just Rivers Cuomo having a laugh, basically.
Right.
But it's kind of fun. I quite enjoyed it.
Is there cover of Africa on that?
No, what they did, that was actually a sort of promotional tool for the Black Album. They released an album called the Teal Album. So
Right.
the Teal Album is just a bunch of 80s covers,
Right.
and Africa is one of them. So they released that ahead of the Black Album, I think, to sort of get people talking about Weezer again. But actually, the Africa cover was, somebody on Twitter was just hammering Rivers Cuomo with like, I want you to cover Toto's Africa.
Right.
And then it became like a movement, and eventually Weezer like trolled this person by covering a different song.
Alright, okay.
Like, so they cover, I don't know what the song was, but they covered like a Toto song that nobody cares about, because
Mhm.
Africa is the only Toto song that anyone knows.
Only song that I know.
So they covered that, and then I think a few weeks later they were like, actually they covered Africa, but all they did was re-record it exactly as the
Yeah,
original. They
absolutely.
didn't put any kind of Weezer
Stamp
spin on it or anything, and the Teal album is exactly like that. All of the songs are just straight up covers.
Did they cover Erasure's A Little Respect? Am I just making that up?
Wasn't
That's
that,
familiar. Wheatus did a cover,
Yeah, I was about to say,
which
Wheatus.
is fantastic.
It is fantastic. Yeah.
That is a fantastic album. I don't think if Wheatus ever did another album, but it's got a lot of good songs in it.
Do you remember we used to go to a bar in Aberdeen called The Basement, where
I do.
the front man of Wheatus used to work?
Really?
Well, no, he didn't. Used to, he didn't used to work. It's just a guy that looked exactly like him. And I used to, every time we were there, I was like, yeah, it's the guy from Wheatus.
Alright,
And
man.
he usually overheard me and gave me shitty looks for calling him that.
Interesting.
Which is fair enough.
I may or may not have told you this story. When I went to see Evan Dando at one of the clubs in Glasgow, venues in Glasgow. I can't remember what it's called. It's SW something or other. It looks like
SWG 13.
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
Something along
Something
those
like
lines anyway. I saw Evan Dando playing the acoustic set with, I can't remember the name of the woman, but it was the woman who provided the vocals on It's a Shame About Ray.
Okay.
So probably their most kind of famous album. We went over to the bar, me and young Thomas went over to the bar and got served our drinks, and I remember turning to Tom afterwards and saying, I'm pretty sure I recognise that barman. And he's like, how I'm not going to do Tom's accent.
Tom's Irish, so
yeah.
can offend anyone listening who's Irish.
Mm-hmm. We don't want to be doing that. Anyway, yeah. So I'd said to him, like, I recognise this guy, and he's like, where'd you recognise him from? Did you meet him on a night out or what have you? I was like, no, I don't think so. I think he's the lead singer of Dan and Aykroyd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and turns out it was. He went over and asked him, are you the lead singer from Dan and Aykroyd? And right enough, it was him. And I think some of the rest of the band members were there at the time as well. I think they went on and formed another band called False Alarm, but it's not a band that I've really kind of looked into all that much. Yeah, that was a bit of a
detour.
Bit of a detour.
So, overall thoughts on K West? It's alright.
Yeah.
It's alright. So then the last two are Professional Freak and Long Way Down. So for me, Professional Freak is a bit more like an upbeat version of Silverchair's Freak.
Right, okay.
Now, they're not too similar, but you've got this refrain of I'm a professional freak, and you know, Silverchair's song is Freak, Body and Soul, I'm a freak. So it's a bit like Silverchair. That song came out the late 90s, early 2000s, and now it's sort of those freaks have answered the call and they're now making their own music, and that's just my take on it. Yeah. But I think it's a good song. There's something to be said for driving about singing I'm a professional freak with the windows down. There are songs that I prefer on the album, like I said before, but I do really like Professional Freak. It's really infectious.
What would you give the album if you were to rate it as a whole? What would you rate it?
I wrote a review of this album for Kill Your Stereo, who are an Australian rock and metal website. So I have reviewed this album. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Right.
I think it's a pretty solid album.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I think it's only sort of weird moments like K West that sort of drag it down a little bit. Maybe some of the vocals aren't for everyone, but it came out I think in June, and I was listening to this constantly for pretty much the whole of July. I just couldn't stop listening to it, and I wasn't just listening to single tracks, I was listening to it front to back. Yeah. It's over in 30 minutes, so there's no reason why you can't just listen to it. You got a spare half an hour, you just blast this album on. So I think it's a really good album, and for anyone who likes 90s-ish, early 2000s alt rock, bit of punk, I think anybody who's interested in that kind of thing will love this album. How do you feel about it? If you had to give a score, what would you give it?
I scored it out of 5
okay.
as opposed to out of 10. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. I was quite conservative. In my rating. I did enjoy it, however I wouldn't immediately go back to it time and time again. There's maybe other bands that we'll maybe go on to kind of discuss, or other albums that we're maybe going to go on to discuss I would have preferred or do prefer.
Okay, so that's a 5 out of 10, Grant.
Yes. 5 out of your possible 10, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's forget about scores, because your score is completely wrong. But if you like the sound of Celebrity Mansions by Dinosaur Pile Up, give it a shot. If you're like me, you'll think it's brilliant. And if you're like Grant, you'll like it and then give it a score that doesn't reflect how much you like it. That's harsh, actually. Okay, I think we talked more about
random shit
than we did about Dinosaur Pile Up there.